Everybody good? Okay. We just want to take a moment to welcome everybody here. We're working hard. You may not see us out in the community, but we are out there working behind the scenes a lot, some outside in the streets and some of the neighborhoods. We've been there. This is a catastrophic event for Bryan County and Richmond Hill. Prayers go out to all the folks that are affected, and we're working as hard as we can and as quick as we can to get things back to normal. I did want to just make a couple introductions. We have Mayor Russ Carpenter here with us, Mayor Tiffany Ziegler from Pembroke. Bryan County is separated by Fort Stewart, and thank you, Tiffany, for coming down. She didn't have a lot of area affected up in North Bryan County and Pembroke some, but we just appreciate her support here. Jima's been here. I know people have said Jima's not been here. Jima's been here for several days now, almost a week probably. They're making assessments now, and we just wanted to really talk about, let them talk about how Jima goes through the process. We have the Deputy Director Tom Moore here with some of his folks, and I'm going to turn it over to him, and he's just going to kind of walk through that process, what it looks like, so people have a clear understanding of what Jima actually does and what they are doing here. So, Tom, if you want to come up and say a few words. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir. We've been here actually since about the 4th. The governor did an SOE statement of a state of emergency on the 3rd. We stood up the State Operations Center on the 4th. We've had people that followed the storm all the way up. We had people on the ground here when it hit. We're trying to get as much as we can out to everybody. We've got recovery coming in. Deputy Director of Recovery is coming in tomorrow to talk about what we need to do to get ready for FEMA. FEMA will be here tomorrow at 8 o'clock to talk about IA, and at 2 o'clock to talk about PA. That's individual assistance and public assistance. And I'll get Chuck to talk about the process for that. Chuck Ray is my field coordinators. And the field coordinators are the people that really do the bulk of the work here. Kristen Higgs, Kristen's in here somewhere. She's been here since before the storm got here. So Jima's been on the ground the whole time. And FEMA will be here tomorrow. Chuck?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I just want to give you a brief walkthrough on what occurs when you hear the words damage assessment and all of those types of things. And I want to speak specifically to the homeowners, the property owners. We have been assessing the damages to the storm ever since the water began to recede. We've been doing that for at least the last 2 days, if not the last 3 days. We were able to get enough numbers to show to our federal partners that we need their assistance. That has resulted in the assignment of 6 individual assistance damage assessment teams that will be in the Chatham, Effingham, Scriven, and of course the Bryan County area for assessments tomorrow. We will start that at 8 o'clock. They will see what we've been telling them the damage is. They will then report back to their FEMA administrator. Then we will put together a letter for the governor to send to the president. And at that point, it's just a waiting game. But just as soon as a decision is made from the presidential level on an individual assistance declaration, we will certainly get the word out to the property owners and start that process. Tom?
Chairman?
Yes. Thank you all for just kind of explaining that process. We're going to have Mayor Carpenter come up, just talk a little bit about flooding in his area, debris collection and some things like that. He will just kind of brief everybody on that because it is within the city limits. So Russ, if you want to come up and say, thank you, sir.
Hi. We do have had obviously several neighborhoods flooded, Mulberry, Richmond Place, Rushing Street, and the First Baptist Church area, Carter Street, Live Oak, and White Oak. Someone better to explain the water levels, and someone a lot smarter than me, Marcus Sack, our city engineer. You could give us an update on what the water levels are and what we've done and what we're looking at.
So at the request of the city of Richmond Hill, we started collecting water levels early Saturday morning. We've been tracking those throughout the storm. We've used that data to be able to predict what's going to happen, where the water will recede first. We've used the data to make important decisions like where to deploy pumps, how many feet of pump hose we need, and we've gotten that out ahead of when the water's leaving. Pumping operations are still going on and will continue to go on until the water's gone. Originally, we did not start pumping because there was too much water. We were surrounded literally by a wall of water. It wasn't until the water went down that we were able to start. Mayor?
We do know that Mulberry and Richmond Place are now fully accessible, and Live Oak and White Oak, there still remains portions of that that are not accessible, but as the water comes down, we will get pumps in there. Some of the other questions, debris pickup, we are finalizing plans for that. We hope to begin on Monday. Should things work out well on that, Monday we will begin. I would just like to say a good word about our volunteers. We live in a phenomenal neighborhood community. I'm sure Tiffany and Carter will agree with that. We've had people show up with trucks, boats, sandbags. One lady texted me whose home was being flooded, texted me and said, hey, I'd still like to send a boat. These are the kind of people that are in our community, and we always show this during hard times, and they're doing it again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Carpenter. As I stated before, Bryan County is split in half by Fort Stewart, and North Bryan County got some damage around Dasher's Landing, Morgan's Bridge area, and Tiffany from Pembroke. Just wanted to kind of say a few words. Again, it's not limited to South Bryan. There was some damage in North Bryan, and we want to remember those folks up there too. Tiffany, if you just want to say a few words about what's going on in Pembroke.
The city of Pembroke was very fortunate. The majority of our rain came Monday night with about 11 inches. We sat under the eye wall for about 6 hours. It gave us a little time to get all of our water off of our areas before the rain set back in. But our prayers and our resources are available. Our prayers are going out to those that were affected in the north end of the county, as well as all of South Bryan, city of Richmond Hill. And we're here to provide resources as necessary from the city of Pembroke.
Thank you, Mayor Ziegler. Now we'll move down and just really talk about, individuals who would like to register for volunteer assistance can register through the Coastal Empire Disaster Relief Committee for crisis cleanup. And that number is 1-844-965-1386 if you would like some volunteers to come help you clean up. And you can register through that program. Right now, for the immediate other folks, the people in here, contact your insurance companies if you've had damage. Make sure you take a lot of pictures and document everything. Again, contact your insurance companies to make sure we get that documented. As far as donations, we're getting a lot of donations. Like Russ said, the community's been great for giving us donations. Monetary donations are really needed now for our local area. And I'm going to give you a couple of donation sites. For cash donations, you can do Venmo at Bryan County Family Connection. Also, United Way Rapid Relief Fund, which is uwce.org for those donations. And monetary donations are really important right now moving forward in the process. I believe that's all we have to say. If anybody has any questions, where we can try to answer some questions for y'all.
Were all those neighbors there? I mean, they were using boats to deliver sandbags, food, water. So how much would you say that community effort has helped y'all's response to
Oh, I think it's been tremendous in our community for those volunteers to step up. We had National Guard here for a few days. I know we went through Richmond Place on one of the high water trucks, and then Mulberry on a high water truck. And so, but the volunteers, we can't speak enough about them. They did a wonderful job getting out, helping, and we couldn't have done it without our volunteers.
anyone can speak to about they are really feeling hopeless? They feel like the water is their neighborhood. Some of them said there was
Yeah, I think Marcus addressed that earlier. They are going to start to pump some water out there. It's still going to be a few days. I mean, we're still, fighting with the Canoochee River and the Ogeechee River, all the water coming down. But that water should start receding anytime if it has not already. I believe it's starting to go down, last I heard, a little bit in some of those places.
Follow that up, for those individuals that are still potentially flooded or trapped in their homes on items, are you still providing resources to them if they can't get out of their homes?
Yeah, if they need anything, they can obviously, if they need rescuing, they can call 911, they can call the command center, and we do have folks that are still monitoring that, and they can get the help they need.
The city of Fort Wentworth police,
A water rescue vehicle.
tactical vehicle,
Yes.
How many other municipalities have y'all called in to kind of work with you guys and help out?
Russ, if you want to, I can answer. Yeah.
Fort Wentworth, as you said, Pembroke and Pooler have stepped up, and probably offers from others, but everybody's just been great with that.
And speaking then about the destruction that we've potentially seen in some individuals' homes from floodwater, you mentioned that you are reaching out to get that emergency declaration from the president. If that is not given to y'all, I mean, what is the chances, or what is it going to look like for families that need help with that structural flooding?
Well, there's the small business, so they come out and give low interest loans and things like that, and so they'll address it like that. If we don't make that FEMA, if we don't make the threshold for FEMA to come in.
And what would that timeline look like when those families that may have had that structural damage, when could they start seeing that relief?
Does somebody want to, Chuck, you want to try to, I mean, it's going to be a little bit, I mean, they still are doing the assessments, but go ahead.
Yeah, Mr.
Or is that what I was going to say?
That was pretty much it, Chairman. The Chairman's correct. We have done, as a local government and a state, we have done really all we can do. We are now waiting on our federal partners to make a decision as to whether or not we get a declaration for those individuals. I do want to echo the discussion about volunteers. In the meantime, while we are waiting to see what our federal government will do, volunteers are so important to these people, not only to bring things to them at this point, but after the water goes down to help them clean up their property, to help them get back on their feet. There are so many volunteer organizations out there. We have individuals here from GEMA that can address some of those organizations that can respond, but in the meantime, until we hear from the federal government, could be days, could be weeks. I'll just be honest with you. In the meantime, the volunteer organizations are invaluable to us.
Yeah, and Jamar with Jim, he'll come up and explain. He's kind of does the volunteer role, so he'll kind of explain that process to y'all too. Go ahead, Jamar. Sure. Make a couple comments. Thank you, sir. Sure.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chairman. My name is Jamar Pye. I work with Community Partnerships for GEMA. Our first message is we appreciate the support, but we don't want folks to self-deploy. There is a number set up, and that number is 912-312-4857. The work that people do in terms of volunteering and supporting is paramount. It is so important, but we want to make sure that we don't have an influx of unaffiliated volunteers and we create a second disaster.
I want to thank y'all for coming, and we really want to say just thank you to our staffs. I think I can speak for both Tiffany and Ruffs. Our staffs have been phenomenal. I mean, up 12, 15 hours a day, some of them longer than that. They've been out there working hard, relentlessly trying to get this under control, the flooding and all the help we need to get here. GEMA's fantastic partners for us. They're here, anything we need, we can get from the state through our web EOC. Again, our partners behind us, we can't, they're phenomenal. Staff's been great. Our, local law enforcement, roads department, everybody's come together to make sure this, we get through this thing and get everybody taken care of. Thank y'all for being here. Yes. We didn't do that. We didn't feel the need to do that. There was only certain neighborhoods that were affected, so that would have been hard to do. Where were those folks going to go? And some of the houses were affected, but we just didn't feel the need to do that. Right
Sorry,
there.
one more question as
Yes.
well. I know that the First Baptist Church off Fort Avenue was originally serving as a temporary shelter.
Yes.
As well as somewhere where people could go to get sandbags. Is that still being a temporary shelter, or is it still giving out sandbags?
No, that sandbags, they moved that down to New Life. Now I think it's back at the community center, all the donations are going to the community center in Richmond Hill. All right, thank y'all.